Okay, good morning, everybody. After yesterday's video, we were flooded with a lot of comments and requests for information. Our team was busy till late in the night yesterday, providing the information that people asked. And yesterday itself, I promised that we are going to talk about the trends in phase one and why is that required. Yesterday, most of the questions that I was getting were of two kinds. One was the phase two details. More importantly, disappointment. The second and more importantly was the disappointment with the seats that students have got, because based on last year's closing rank figures, they expected certain seats, and most of the students have not got the seats that they expected. They were expecting CBIT CSE and they got Vasavi IT. They were expecting Vasavi CSE and they were getting VNR VJIT, some computer science branch. So, and a lot of people were also very angry. Why is it that this has happened? How can this happen, kind of? So I was always, in my previous videos also, I was always saying that please do not get guided by only last year's closing ranks. This is a major pitfall. Last year's closing ranks will give you only some idea, but you can't base your decisions on the basis of last year's closing ranks. The second thing is, and this was really unfortunate, was that there were several students in the top 10,000 who did not get any branch. Why didn't they get any branch? Because out of sheer overconfidence based on last year's figures, they have given certain options and none of these options have worked out, and they are without a branch and they are waiting desperately for phase two. So we will try to unclutter some of these things today and try to see how the ranks have converted to seats this particular year. Please remember that I am doing in all of these things, I am comparing this year's first round with last year's first round. So we have to compare apples with apples. So if we compare it with last year's second round, we are going to get inaccurate predictions. So I am comparing this year's first round with last year's first round. Okay, so let's quickly get on with how the top 10 colleges figured out. But let me clarify at this stage that top 10, this ranking does not mean anything. This ranking, I mean, actually I shouldn't have called it rank, because the rank gives you a different idea. This is not a rank. What you should bother about is that this is some number. Let's say this is a number. Let's say this is a serial number. So don't attach too much of importance to rank. So if you see, by last rank this year, 2020 phase one, I am looking at computer science, OC, general, OU region. So this is for boys, as it is popularly called boys. It's actually general. So OC, general, OU region. The last ranks for the first 10 colleges have played out this way. JNTUH, followed by OU's College of Engineering, followed by CBIT, followed by Vasavi, followed by VJEC, that is VNR VJIT, then followed by Narayanamma, Srinidhi, CVR, Gokaraju Rangaraju, and MVSR. So this is how this whole thing has played out. Okay, now let's go on to, and if you see the last rank, and unless I compare it with 2019, it may not make sense to you, but this is how the ranks have played out. What has happened is, okay, in the case of Narayanamma, I have taken girls. See, in all the other cases, it is general. Only in the case of Narayanamma, I have taken girls closing rank. So last year, this was 7th. Now Narayanamma has moved to 6th. Srinidhi was 6th. It's moved to 7th. CVR was 11. It has moved to 8th. Gokaraju was 10th. MVSR was 9th. moved to 10th. So minor changes, that is it. Now, let's go on. The second thing is that from 11th to 20, how did it play out? MGIT closing rank was 4059. Last year it was 8. This year it was 11th. Vardhaman 12th. KMIT 13. BVRI 14th. CVSR last time was 16. It has become 15. MECS, that is Matrusri local branch, was 15 last year, has become 16. CMRK, that is CMR College, 17, no change in its rank. Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, last year it was 19, this year it is 18. This is Guru Nanak, please remember GNIT. There was one student who thought that this was Narayanama and applied for it and she got it, and her rank was something like around 1300. So now she is crying. So 18 last year, this time it is 19, and then MRAC, Mala Reddy, 20. So this is how it has played out, the top 20. I mean, again, let me say that this is 20, the first 20, not the top 20. Okay, now let's go on to the comparison. Now this is important. Let's compare the closing ranks with last year's figures. Let's take CSE. I'm looking at CSE. I'm looking at JNTUH. Last year 568, closing rank first round. This year it has become 338. OU College of Engineering, last year 749, this year 414. CBIT, last year 1,267, this year only 763. Vasavi, 1,622, this year 1,015. And then VNR, 2,046, this year 1,427. So what does this tell us? This tells us that as far as computer science is concerned, the ranks have moved up due to a variety of reasons. One is that this year there's a lot more demand for computer science courses. Also this year, there is another factor that we are seeing. Lot of parents are preferring local colleges because of Corona, because of delays. Some of these students would have gone to colleges outside of Hyderabad. They would have gone to private deemed universities in Tamil Nadu, in Karnataka, up north. So some of these people are staying back here. And that is the reason why we are seeing this kind of a trend. Let's look at the next one. I have a okay, my screen is stuck. Let me yes. So yeah. So let's look at IT. Now IT, what has happened? Okay, JNTU and OU, you don't have this, but CBIT last year 2,992 and this year 1,844. Vasavi 3,402, this year 2,719. VNR VJIT last year 4,476, this year 3,354. So again, there is a variation. IT also, it has moved up. Okay, now let us look at ECE. Surprisingly, ECE is also moved up. JNTU, OU, if you see, there is a change. In the case of private colleges, the change is not so pronounced. There's not so much of difference. 2,263, 1,796, 2,774. This year it is 2,467, 3,680, 3,461. A matter of few hundreds here and there. Okay, so ECE also has moved up. Then what are the ones which have not moved up? Let us look at MEC. In MEC, universities, they have moved up, but in the case of private colleges, they have moved down. Last year it was 4,284. This year it is 5,112. Vasavi 5487 last year. This year 8644. A huge difference here. VNR VJIT 7442 last year. This year it is 8,847. Let's look at, for example, civil. In the case of civil, again, barring JNTU where there's marginal difference, in all the other colleges, even in the case of OU, the closing ranks have moved up. 3915, 4264, 6316, 8447, Vasavi 5523, 9274, VNR VJIT 9375, 11725. So what is it that we are making out from this trend? The trend is that in the case of CSE and IT, the competition is tightening, there's a lot of demand. And for other branches, mechanical and civil, so the ranks are going low. So for a student who's interested in mechanical and civil and electrical kind of branches, this is going to be a good time. You may get a college, you may get a good college. All right, so that is the trend that we are seeing. Then let me just see. The CSE variants, there are a lot of CSE variants which have come. Let us see how they have fared out. Because there are a lot of questions which were asked regarding the new CSE branches. And let us see what was the demand for the new CSE branches. I have taken some colleges. Let's take CBIT. In the case of CBIT, computer science, artificial intelligence and machine learning, CSM, was 768, almost close to computer science and engineering. There's not too much of difference. All right. Information technology was 1,844. ECE was 1,796. There's not too much of difference between these two. In the case of Vasavi again, computer science was closely followed by computer science, artificial intelligence and machine learning. Let us take VNR VJIT, where all the new CSE variants are there, and just see how the closing ranks have figured. Starting with computer science, 1,427. Next, computer science, artificial intelligence and machine learning. Computer science, data science. Computer science, this is cyber security. Computer science, IoT, information technology, and then ECE. If you go lower down, this is a trend that we are observing everywhere. This is what is the trend. This is the order. But don't ask me for a reason for this order, because I do not see any reason for this order, except that basically all of those new variants have computer science in common. But if you go by logic, if somebody is interested in computer science and he wants, if he doesn't get computer science, he should take a branch which is closer to computer science. And the closest to computer science is information technology, not these variants. But people have been influenced just by the nomenclature. People do not have the syllabus. People do not have the track record of students passing out from these branches, because there's virtually new branches. So what did people go by? They went purely by the name, computer science. In a way, that is also all right, because if you see, there is just about 25% to 40% variation in the syllabus. In some cases, the syllabus is not too much. There's not too much of difference. In some cases, it is around 30-35% of variation. But information technology comes closest to computer science. Like, for example, I do not see any reason why IoT has to be given preference over information technology, because IoT, if you see, has a bit of electronics. It will have something about microcontrollers. It will have something about sensors. So a lot of hardware components will get into the IoT computer science variant, whereas information technology is pure software. Similarly, in the case of cybersecurity, cybersecurity will have a lot of networking, will have cryptography and things like that. whereas information technology will be much more closer to CSE. But people have just gone by the nomenclature. People have just looked at computer science and they thought that this is going to be similar to computer science. And from a placement perspective, all of these will have common placements, because there was one student who was asking me yesterday, sir, what is the prospects for IoT? Will we get placements for IoT? So one thing you got to understand here is that at the undergrad level, that means immediately after you finish your BTech, no company will recruit you for specialist skills. They would be looking for basic generic skills, and if you have that, they will take you, and in the company you will get into some specialized departments. So nobody is going to take somebody for a specialized skill at the entry level. So all of these people, computer science, plain computer science to information technology, all of these people will be applying for the same kind of jobs, and I don't think companies will make too much of difference among these branches. All of them will be eligible for the same set of jobs from the similar set of companies. So it's not going to be that there will be companies which will come separately for IoT, companies will come separately for cybersecurity, etc., etc. I don't think that is going to happen. All of them are going to sit for the same kind of IT jobs. Earlier, ECE students were also allowed, and perhaps ECE students will continue to be allowed. Now, this is much more closer to computer science than ECE. So there will obviously be a lot of preference for these branches compared to ECE for IT recruitment in the days ahead. So we've seen the trends. What are the implications for the trends? A few things that we need to keep in mind, and specifically when we are looking at the top 20 colleges, let me just talk about that for a minute. If you look at these colleges, in the first 1 to 10, I'm sure there's not much to talk about. But in this set of colleges, I'm not very comfortable with several colleges from a placement point of view. And in fact, there are some colleges lower down which are much better from a placement perspective. So therefore, there is a responsibility for the student as well as the parent to go to the colleges and do some research. There is still a few days left for the second round of counseling. So before the second round of counseling, shortlist based on these closing ranks, shortlist a set of colleges which are likely to get, and do some more research on those colleges by going to the college, talking to people, and more importantly, talk to final year students or students who have just passed out from the college, because they will talk to you about actual placements. Because the placements figures which are found in the website, etc., are all misleading. What you need to check up is how many companies come. What you need to check up is whether it is a pooled campus drive or a company which is coming exclusively for this particular college. Because in a pooled campus drive, what happens is this college is not making any effort. Some other college is making an effort to get the company to their campus. So that company, when it comes to the other college, may also say that instead of just interviewing your guys alone, we would like to look at other colleges also. We don't have time to go to other colleges. You please call them also. So there will be a pooled campus drive where about 10, 15, 20 colleges will go to another college for recruitment. And there are certain colleges in this list who survive only by pooled campuses. On their own, they don't do too much of placement activity. Most of the students get recruited through pooled campus. So this is something that you need to keep in mind. So you need to do a little bit of research. Don't just go by numbers, because everybody asks me, what is the top 10? What is the top 20 and other? Who decides top 10? Who decides top 20? On what basis? If it is closing ranks, then you will always end up with some duds in this list. Specifically in this particular list, 11 to 20, I'm uncomfortable with several colleges. So you should actually do a little bit of research. And if you have any questions and doubts, please post it in the comment section so that we can answer to the best of our knowledge, the trends, etc., etc., and about the colleges. The other thing is that in our next video, we are going to talk about certain pitfalls to avoid for second round of counseling, because there are certain mistakes that have been committed by students. For example, as I told you, some students have not taken the code, college code properly. Instead of GNTW for Narayanama, GNIT, and there's a huge difference. All right. Similarly, there were other mistakes that students have made, and today they are regretting. So we will discuss these things in the next video. So till that time, if there are any doubts that you have, put it in the comment section. Our team will come back to you as soon as possible. Okay. So on that note, let us end today's session. So the trends show us that the computer science branches are in demand. Mechanical, civil are on the way out. So anybody who is looking at mechanical, civil, electrical kind of branches, they're serious about those kind of branches, now is a good time to be a little ambitious, apply to top colleges you're likely to get. Okay. So on that note, let's stop today's session. Okay.